bonding with the group. The bottom line is that if you abuse and torture a person consistently enough, he will almost inevitably have no sense of compassion or regard for others, unless he can get away from you and go through a profound healing process. It's that simple. However, you can tailor your abuse to create extreme loyalty and love in the person. This is done by alternating between severe punishment and love bombing, pumping them up to make them feel special. A typical analogy is an abusive husband who beats his wife, only to show her grandiose gestures of affection afterwards, such as a huge bouquet of roses. In crisis hotline training, we watched videos of horribly beaten women, with their eyes nearly swollen shut, gushing about how much they still loved their husbands, and how they understood why he beat them. Like Stockholm Syndrome, you can end up falling in love with the very people who tortured you the most. It is far easier to adopt their beliefs and accept their punishment than to go against them, for sedition is death. The ultimate goal for any group like this is worldwide power and control. That's the Holy Grail, at least until they reach a level of technology that would allow them to migrate off-planet. If you can wrap your mind around the idea that people like this actually exist, and have been meticulously planning on world domination for hundreds of years, you can begin to understand how we got where we are today, and how simple their motive really is. It's really cool to have money. It's really cool to have money. Let's face it. You can go out there and do whatever you want, indulging your greatest fantasies. Now imagine that you could create as much money as you wanted, whenever you wanted, out of thin air. Once you gain the ability to do this, you have become the ultimate magician, wielding the very essence of the universe in its physical form. You can create power, wealth and prestige at the push of a button. If you can dream it, you can do it. You have true mastery and dominion. People will do whatever you tell them just so they can get a little closer to you, and taste some of the magic. You could be but ugly, but now you're the hottest thing in town, and everybody wants to be your number one. The world is truly at your fingertips. He who has the peso has the say-so. Unlimited money, for unlimited self-indulgence, is the ultimate goal of everyone who lusts for power, and believes they are one of the strong. How could it even be possible? How could you ever hope to pull off such an incredible stunt as to be able to create money out of thin air, all over the world, and have people believe you? Most people don't think like this. Very few would be willing to do enough homework to figure out how to accomplish such a seemingly impossible feat. Look at all the different countries and cultures in the world. All those languages. All those customs. All those people. All those lands. It could take years and years of research by many thousands of people to even begin to understand what might be required to rule over them. You would need high-level espionage. You would need to dominate every new business that comes along, by whatever means necessary. Many of your best people would lose their lives as they attempt to gain the most sensitive information for you. Some of your people would train their whole lives to learn one language, just to do one job undercover, and they may never even get the right window to use the skills they trained for. It could take years for a spy to gain someone's trust and learn the deepest secrets. Naturally, you would need the most extreme secrecy imaginable to accomplish something of this size, scope and complexity. It would take hundreds of years of meticulous planning to accomplish such a stunning goal, and only your great-great-great-great-grandchildren would be able to enjoy its ultimate benefits. Take all the gold in order to create worldwide fiat currency. It wouldn't take very long for you to figure out that your number one enemy is gold and treasure. The more gold is out there, the more trouble you've got. People are naturally greedy and fearful. Gold represents real wealth they can hold in their hands. If any gold-backed money is available, they will obviously want it, and reject your worthless paper. Let's say you already know there's an incredibly large amount of gold in the world. Let's say you also have a very good idea of where most of it is. Somehow you've got to take that gold off market and hide it away forever, without the public ever even knowing about it. Otherwise, you will always be vulnerable to someone creating a gold-backed financial system. The ignorant, drooling masses of the weak would immediately lose faith in your printing press and rush to hoard gold. You need to USC violence. Of course, lots of people already have gold. You can't let them keep it if you want to create your magic money printing press. Otherwise, they could band together, pool their resources and take you down. Naturally, they won't just hand over their gold to you willingly. They will have weapons in their homes, and tell you to come pry the gold out of their cold, dead hands. That's the point. You will need to use violence in order to create this new, global financial system. Military invasions will be necessary to force individual gold holders or even entire nations to give up their assets. Furthermore, you somehow have to convince the majority of the world's leaders that it is in their best interest to do this, or else kill them if they don't go along with it. Once you've got control of the worldwide magic printing press in your hands, it doesn't matter what the world leaders think, but until then, you'd better give the people a great story. Create something that really arouses their deepest feelings of patriotism and passion. Keep it secret. Keep it safe. When the common people see violence occurring, including invading armies, you need to give them compelling, believable reasons for why these horrible events took place. Cook up some outrageous assassinations and atrocities against the people who stand in your way. Figure out who you want the people to be angry at, and then blame every nasty thing you did on your new, manufactured enemy. All of this is nothing but elaborate stagecraft, while the real goal is to get all their gold, so you can create as much money as you want. In the meantime, you secretly tell the leaders of the various nations that these atrocities are actually a sad but necessary key to creating world peace, security and prosperity, and preventing far greater tragedies from occurring. Any government, military or financial leaders who disagree with the plan are threatened or killed, to ensure everyone is on the same page. Every leader who goes along with the plan is assured that it will ultimately generate much greater abundance and happiness. A world free of war, suffering and depravity. A necessary evil. For a greater good. That was the promise. That was the carrot. A new world order. Of peace, prosperity and happiness. All of this really got started with the founding of the Federal Reserve in 1913. The Bank of International Settlements in 1921, and the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944. World leaders are not geniuses. They are often ordinary people with ordinary intellects who happen to win or steal an election. Or, they were simply appointed into that position because of who their parents were. This plan for a new world order was presented before them as a necessary evil, which only someone at their illustrious level of power and influence could even hope to understand. They would undoubtedly spend long nights in bed, staring at the ceiling and tossing and turning in a cold sweat, as they realized what had to be done. However, sooner or later, as ugly and horrifying as it would be, they would realize they had to act on behalf of the greater good, for their children's children's children. And they knew if they didn't go along with the plan, they would be assassinated. Every world leader is forced to make decisions that could kill countless numbers of people in order to secure the interests of the country and the planet. That's life. That's reality. That's what it takes. So put on your uniform, suck it up and get over it. Yes. It would be very painful to create this new system, but once it was done, everyone's lives would be much better. They felt they had been deceived. By 1954, the 77 non-aligned nations of the world clearly felt they had been deceived. Instead of the golden era of peace and prosperity they expected to develop after the end of World War II and the signing of the Bretton Woods Agreement, the world had been plunged into even deeper horrors. The United States and the Soviet Union were arming up for total nuclear war and planetary annihilation. That the United States dollars that were promised for humanitarian programs to build up developing nations never arrived. The dollar, as a global reserve currency, got distracted into pumping up the military machine. The non-aligned nations wanted to change the system, but did not have the military force to do anything to stop it. Anyone who dared to make the slightest little whisper about what was going on would be threatened or killed. This invisible, desperate battle has continued straight through to this very day. This is the biggest secret. This is the real history of the global financial system. This is the story that almost got me killed. This is a small taste of how the blueprint for global control was meticulously followed over the course of hundreds of years. Asia, where the whole story begins, the greatest secret in the world, as I have now discovered, is that gold is as plentiful as sand. This is obviously an exaggeration, but apparently not by much. It has been truly stunning for me to uncover this information. All this gold had to be confiscated, by a vast method of worldwide deception, in order to pave the way for a new world order where money could be created out of thin air. To truly understand this highly secretive battle that has led to the trillion-dollar lawsuit that could end financial tyranny, you have to go back in time. Everything ultimately becomes East versus West in this grand Illuminati game, as I finally now understand. My investigation of the story led to direct threats against my life, relayed by one of my top insiders. Therefore I take this very seriously. And I don't want to leave anything out. What is wealth, exactly? Let's begin by thinking about wealth. What do people really see as being valuable? Wealth doesn't just appear in the form of commodities like gold, it also manifests in high-quality products of various kinds. Anything that enhances our comfort and enjoyment of life is wealth. It's something we're more than happy to pay for. For thousands of years, Asia was producing the most highly regarded stuff in the world, including those things that appeal to the most primal human instincts. All the finest pleasures Asian discovered there was a white worm that would spin flossy webs of a very fine material. This material could be collected, gently cooked and made into durable clothing that was extremely soft, almost supernaturally soft. Asians also spent hundreds of generations hunting for the best possible dyes, allowing them to make bright, vibrant colors that were not available anywhere else in the world. By combining these two technologies, gorgeous, colorful silk fabrics with incredible designs could be produced. The softness of silk was directly associated with sexual pleasure. The feeling of wearing or rubbing against silk was enough to get you totally aroused, and it was also very expensive.